Yo, guys, back again today. And today, we have car talk. Yo, it's a vlog and we car talking in the car. We're having car talk today. Yo, you know my boy right here, yo, the #1 Somali in the world, yo. Don't put no other man above this man right here, yo, #1 man. Yo, introduce yourself.
Yo, this Radio Rahim.
Yo, Radio Rahim, yeah. Radio Rahim. But yo, today we were just in the car and we were making a vlog and we thought we would just, have a conversation in the car. So therefore, we call it car talk, right? So yo, let me ask you a question. When you grew up, like, what kind of music did you listen to as far as like Somali music? I know, we talked about this before. I just want to compare, like, what does Somali music consist of? Like the topic of Somali music, like, is there a lot of different kinds of Somali music, or is it just like one side, sort of like genre of Somali music? I'm talking about from your parents' day, like how you grew up, what you listened to.
So when I was growing up, most of the Somali music that we listened to was about love.
It was about love?
It was about love. Professing your love for someone, or telling someone how much you care about them and how much you love them. So we didn't really have genres of music. So most of the music was just hardcore love songs.
Got you. So it was like Prince and it was Prince and what's her name? Apollonia. It was Prince and Apollonia for the whole for generations and generations.
Exactly.
No, but I mean that's not even a bad thing, because I love love songs. I know how everybody feels about it, but me, I love love songs. And when I listen to Somali music, I told you, when I listen to Somali music or Ethiopian music, like, I don't even know what they're saying, to be honest with you, but I know it's about love. Like, love conquers everything. Even my ears. I mean, what I'm trying to say is I know. That it means it's something meaningful. It's not dumb.
No, definitely.
And definitely.
I know, and that comes out of the tradition of oral poetry.
Right.
So oration. So Somalia. When you talk about the oratory history of Somalia, we're a nation of poets.
Of course.
So music actually is something that came later.
Gotcha.
It was first it was passing down poems, whether they be about love or social change or even pride for one's tribe.
Okay, of course. So when you, like, okay, so for instance, like, let's say when you talk poetic, like, I mean, this might be hard, but is there any way you can translate something to English? I know it might not exactly translate, but like, what is something that's, because I always hear like Somali language is very poetic.
It is very poetic.
Or like a poetic language.
Right.
So, like, if I was to say something sweet to a woman, would it actually translate sweet into English? I mean, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So, like for example, you said the word ma'anto.
Ma'anto.
Yeah, ma'anto is literally my sweet.
Okay.
So that's a one-to-one translation.
Got you.
But then you have other words like gal is like. It's very hard to translate that kind of word, what I'm saying?
And see, that's what I was going to ask you, because I know some
But it's a word of affection that you say to someone that you love.
Got you.
What I'm saying? And sometimes you say, it's a different kind of affection. It's more of an affection that an older person has for a younger person.
Got you.
Like something my aunt or my grandma would say to me.
Got you. So yeah, because I definitely always, wanted to know, because I know sometimes when you say something in one language, it doesn't necessarily translate the way you're trying to say it in that language to the other language, But so definitely. So is there a lot of like as far as I guess occupations like back in the day, or maybe even now, as far as like in Somalia, or I mean, from what you know, are there a lot of poets saying that the language is so poetic, or is this like a normal? I mean, I know it's a normal everyday thing because that's the culture and the language, and passing down stories and stuff like that. But since that's the tradition, it's almost like, for instance, like another black ethnicity, or African ethnicity, to where they're very skilled in making, African mask, or they're very skilled in singing, like that tribe is very skilled in singing, or, whatever it might be. So I guess to make a long story short, and not be long-winded, is what I'm asking is that, are there a lot of poets in Somalia, or a lot of Somali people that do poetry?
We're a nation of poets, man.
Exactly. You're into my guy. Y'all just live it,
Your neighbor may be a poet.
Right.
Your teacher may be a poet. Your father may be a poet. Your mother may be.
Of course.
A poet.
Because like
poetry's not relegated to just men. So I think that when it comes to poetry, and there's a lot of like linguistic analogs that come along with Somali that exist in English. For example, when you have alliteration, right? Alliteration is the phenomenon where you have a word that starts with the same letter. You string together like 20 words that all start with the same letter.
Gotcha.
Somalis, we do the same thing. It's a expression of skill to be able to express something and use 20 words that all start with the same letter.
Of course.
That kind of thing.
No, well, definitely, I agree, because it's funny, because, like, you know, when me and you go to poetry nights or whatever, it's like, you know, like I always say, for me being African American, it's like, you know, I think music is something, or like poetry is something that's passed along by every, you know, African, black ethnicity, whichever way you want to call yourself. I feel like it's passed along by all of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like every black person in the world has rhythm. I mean, you know, the rhythm inside of them, they might not think they have rhythm, and maybe they don't, I don't know, but majority do. But I'm just saying the rhythm, or like the culture of passing along music and poetry. Because, like, yo, African Americans, yo, we some singing people, we some poetry people, you know, and it was just very interesting to me when you were talking about the poetry, as far as, because like when I was, you know, first learning or like speaking Somali, like the little bit of words that I know, somebody told me back in the day, it's like Somali language is very poetic, and I was just like, yo, like, it's just crazy when you hear that a language is so ancient, or a people, even if the language is different, is so ancient to where it's like, yo, we don't have a word for this, or, you know, the things that we say, we can only say like, my love goes across the Sahara Desert. Yo, I might be a little dramatic right there, but I'm just saying that's how I would talk, yo. My love for my Nubian queen goes across the Sahara Desert. Yeah, that'd be a good date. Take your girl to Sahara Desert and have some dinner out. I mean, I'm just saying, yo. I'm just
okay.
I'm just saying. Okay. This suggestion for the audience, you know. But yeah, so definitely. But you know, the funny thing about it is, like you were saying about the music. For us, it's like, when I grew up, I listened to a lot of different kind of genres of African American music. So for us, it was like, there was love, or like you could say, for instance, like me growing up with my parents, what they listened to, which I think all of us can relate to, what our parents listened to when we were young and growing up, and then what we eventually listened to. But one time I could listen to soul, and it's like, soul could be depressing about like the problems they're going through, or about love, right? And then like funk could be about love as well, but more so it's about like
or about having fun.
Or about having fun. It's more so about having fun in funk than, or, you know, some kind of stereotype, like, you know, I'm a pimp, I'm a player, I'm a whatever.
Right.
But, or I got money, whatever it might be, right? But soul was more about like love for the most part, you know, or like depression. So same with blues, you know. But we could go from that world to funk, then we could go to jazz, which is just like an array of emotions, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, it's just funny you said that, because, you know, like you said, I don't think that everybody in Somalia at the time, or like what your parents listened to, I think majority of the music was about love. I don't think all of it was, but I would say, what did you say, a high percentage of it was about love?
I would say near almost all of it. The Somali music that, you know, my uncles and aunts and my parents used to listen to, and mostly about love. And you have to remember also, we come from a very conservative culture too.
Of course.
You know, it's bad enough that a lot of Somalis look at music and say, well, that goes against our religious beliefs.
Of course.
So the music is relatively tame, right? So, you know, I've never heard a curse word, you know, in Somali music. That most Somali music, you'll never hear curse word. You'll never hear something inappropriate. You'll never hear something sexual.
Of course.
It's always very pure. It's always very
romantic in a way.
Romantic, yeah. You know, very clean
and like respectful.
Very respectful, always.
And I definitely agree.
Always. And you always have, sometimes you have like a man and a woman, and they're both singing on the track.
Yeah, and see, that's why
they're singing to each other almost.
And see, that's what I was gonna say. That's where I was gonna go, because one of the things I remember, I was watching a Far tribe, like music from Ethiopia, northern Ethiopia, and I watched it, and I loved the way that the woman was singing to the man and the man was singing to the woman, and it was like on some like going to war type thing. I think they were like, you know, the video, maybe the theme was going to war, or like, you know, defending their land as a Fars or whatever. But when I watched some Somali videos too, I've actually seen a Somali guy and a Somali woman singing to each other, and I love that. Like, I miss the duet of a woman and man. Like, even us, we used to do the same thing. Like, you know, or, you know, as you know, you're a big hip hop head and R&B head. Yo, we used to always have men and women that duet. You know what I'm saying? Sing to each other. Yo, sing to me, girl. Yo, sing to me. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'll sing to you. I wish I could sing. Yo, I wish I could sing.
Right.
But yeah, so that leads me to my next thing, is that, what do you feel about like hip hop and like R&B and soul and funk? Like, because I know there's a lot of genres of African American music that I'm trying to get you to get into that you don't know about. I mean, you know about them, but you might have ever experienced them. You know?
So I'm a really big hip hop head, right?
Of
so
course.
I love hip hop music, and in my opinion, and my brother disagrees right here, but hip hop is the greatest expression of black music, in my humble opinion. Right?
Of course. I wouldn't say I disagree with you. I wouldn't say I disagree with you.
You would say there's other things out there. That,
I'm just saying there's other
got you.
African American music.
Right.
More than what people think. You know?
But my experience with it is that, you know, we came here when we were young, and some younger than others. I mean, I was lucky enough to come here at a time when, you know, Michael Jackson had already come, and you had, you know, lots of changes in the black musical landscape.
Right.
And that was around the time that hip hop was forming. You know, like early, I want to say not hip hop was forming, but hip hop was changing. You know, there was gangster rap, there was a change in how rap was being displayed. And I think that for us, anyways, as foreign Africans coming here, most of the music that we listened to was stuff that our parents listened to, and our parents weren't listening to, you know, James. Well, maybe they were listening to James Brown, but they weren't listening to music that wasn't popular.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So, and obviously the most popular black artist at the time that our parents were younger, in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, was Michael Jackson.
Right.
So, you know, we grew up with a deep respect for Michael Jackson specifically.
Oh, I love Michael Jackson.
The music of that era in general, disco, funk, soul, I think is at least familiar to, I think, a lot of Africans that come.
Yeah, and it's really funny to me because, you know, when you look at like different things like Afrobeat or, you know, you look at just different different kind of music. Like I think they have something called High Life in Nigeria. I don't know exactly what that means, but I think it sort of implies what the title is, being like, yo, some party, like you get money, like you high up in society, I guess. I don't know. I could be wrong, so I don't want nobody to bite my head off. So explain it to me, you know, because I'm probably wrong. But all I'm saying from that is that it's just amazing that the more and more, like when I grew up on jazz. I grew up on funk. I grew up on soul. I grew up on rock and roll, you know, reggae, R&B, and a lot of it blues, a lot of other things, because you have different generations. You have my granddad, which was in the, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s era, and he was straight Muddy Waters when black people created rock and roll, when they created, you know, all these different kind of music, because obviously jazz has already been around for, you know, 20 or 30 odd something years, and jazz is just like was still dominant. I mean,
it's funny you say that, because when you say Muddy Waters, I think of Redman's album from the early 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think of like what he based it off of.
Exactly.
You know,
And so that's what I was saying, because like it's funny, because like
sampling, you know, I hear a song and I'll be like, oh, that's a sample from that, and you'll say, nah, that's originally from the 70s.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Even that knowledge, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, because I know I feel like a lot of people think that, you know, African Americans, like some people say like, oh, we know you guys created so much, but they can't tell you what we created. Like they think it's just like, oh, you guys are good at hip hop and R&B, and, you know, probably they would say soul and funk and jazz, maybe, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how people feel about that, but I would think that they would all equate those as black people. But they wouldn't equate, you know, I don't even think they equate breakdancing with black people anymore, even though, you know, we were the ones that pioneered that. I don't think that they...
That came from capoeira.
Yeah, exactly, you know what I'm saying?
Brazilian martial arts.
Which is Afro-Brazilian martial arts, you know what I'm saying, with the slaves in Brazil. But also, I don't think that they understand, like, our presence in house music and techno. Like, I think a lot of other races have sort of taken over these music as far as, like, what the image of, like, people think who do. If you say techno, what's the first thing you think? Asian people, right? Or white people, maybe, right? And then when you think about house music, you don't think about black people, even though house music was created in Chicago. So all I'm saying is that it's just funny how many kinds of music there are. Like, I remember I put you on to acid jazz, and like there's acid jazz. There's so many kinds of jazz. There's up tempo, low tempo. There's acid jazz. There's free fall jazz. There's so much kind of jazz, right? And that's just one genre. You know, just like hip hop. There's trip hop. There's jazzy hip hop. There's, you know, whatever, I guess they call it gangster rap. You know, there's a whole bunch.
There's conscious hip hop. There's underground hip hop.
Exactly. There's trap, which is southern, you know, get money,
right,
hip hop. You know, then you have all these different kinds of genres. In the West Coast you have, you know, in the Bay Area and San Francisco, they make a bunch, you know, they have their little hyphy style that they do, you know, which sounds very, you know, when you hear a hyphy song. I mean, at least I do, because I pay attention. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some people, and then I feel like in like coming up after us, that they're not gonna know the regions. Like, a region was a big deal for us when we grew up. Like, hearing somebody from the South, you knew they were from the South. Now everybody's trying to act like the South for the most part, so you can't tell where anybody's from no more,